Hello and welcome. I'm Annie and today we will be making a peach cobbler cheesecake. So because there are multiple steps in this recipe, we're going to do each section by section. So right now we're going to start with the crust. For the crust, you will need 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour, 1/4 cup of granulated sugar, 3 tablespoons of powdered sugar or icing sugar, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and 10 tablespoons of cubed butter, unsalted. In addition to this, I am using a 9-inch springform pan, and I've gone ahead and lined it with parchment paper. To make this crust, it's easiest to do so in the food processor. Simply add your dry ingredients, so your flour, sugar, powdered sugar, and salt. And then just go ahead and pulse this a few times until this is well combined. Once that's well combined, knock down the sides and add your butter. And again, you're going to pulse this a few times until you've got a chunky, sandy mixture. Now that our mixture is sandy, clumpy, a little bit wet, that's when we know it's ready. Okay, so just go ahead and put all of that straight into your pan. Next, just press the crust into the pan, going up the sides ever so slightly to give it a little bit of an edge. Now that it's all pressed in there, we can bake this in a 325-degree preheated oven for half an hour. So I'm just going to go do that right now. While our crust is baking, we're going to prepare the peach portion of the filling. So for this portion of the recipe, you're going to need 2 pounds of peeled sliced peaches, 1/2 cup of granulated white sugar, 1/2 cup of brown sugar, 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1 tablespoon of lemon juice, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Place a pot over medium heat on your stove and add your peaches. Now simply add the remainder of the ingredients. So the white sugar, granulated white sugar, brown sugar, cinnamon, lemon juice, and cornstarch. Now stir these ingredients until they are well combined. You're going to notice that the peaches are going to immediately start releasing those juices and sugars. So what we want to do is cook this for between 10 and 15 minutes on a medium to medium-low heat, stirring often until the mixture thickens. Our peaches are now cooked through and the sauce is nice and thickened. And it's been about 10 minutes now, so we can turn off on our burner and set this mixture aside to cool. We are now ready to make our cheesecake filling. For this portion of the recipe, you're going to need 3 packages of cream cheese softened, so at about room temperature, 3/4 of a cup of white granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of almond extract, 4 large eggs slightly beaten, 1/3 of a cup of sour cream, and 2 tablespoons of cornstarch. Again, we're going to use our food processor to help us do this. So to your food processor, add your softened cream cheese, your sugar, and your almond extract. Now just process this until it becomes smooth, silky, and creamy. Our mix is now silky and smooth. So next, and this took about 1 to 2 minutes. Next, we're going to add our sour cream and also our cornstarch. Again, work this until it is well combined. Perfect. That took only about 30 seconds. Now, just add your eggs. And again, mix until well combined, but don't overmix this. I'm just going to scrape it down and run it one more time. Perfect. So our cheesecake filling is nice and smooth, and we can just set this aside until we are ready to use it. Our crust is fresh out of the oven, so this pan is very hot. Be extremely cautious with it. So we are ready to start assembling our cheesecake. For this step, aside from the pan that your crust is in, you're going to need another large pan. A square baking pan is also suitable for this. You'll need a kettle of hot water, boiled, and you will need your filling. Begin by wrapping the springform pan with aluminum foil. So because this is hot, and I know I'm going to use 2 pieces, I just want to size out my pieces first. I'm just going to move this aside. Crisscross my pieces. And place my pan with the crust in the center. Then just bring it on up. You want to get a tight seal on that because we're going to be exposing this whole thing to water, and we don't want it to get in there. Perfect. Place this into your other pan. Now pour in about half of the filling, or just over 2 cups. Perfect. Perfect. Okay. Your hot water, you will want to pour into the secondary pan until it's about halfway up the pan with the crust in it. Now you're going to place this into a 425 Fahrenheit oven for 15 minutes. If you don't want to carry a pan of hot water across your kitchen, you are certainly welcome to stick this in the oven first and then pour in the hot water into the outside pan. For safety reasons, that's probably a wiser idea, but I really wanted to show you guys here. So I will see you again in just a couple of seconds for you, but 15 minutes for me. While our cheesecake is baking for the first time, we're going to make our cobbler topping. So you're going to need 1 cup of all-purpose flour, a 1/4 cup of brown sugar, a 1/4 cup of granulated white sugar, 1 teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 teaspoon of salt, 1/3 of a cup of cold butter, unsalted, and a 1/4 cup of boiling hot water. So to your bowl, you're going to add your flour, brown sugar, white sugar, baking powder, salt, and butter. Using a fork, you're going to cut your butter into the flour and other ingredients. Make sure that as you're doing this, you're stirring the mixture completely so that all the ingredients are well distributed. I'm actually just going to switch to my hands and just rub those butter pads into the other ingredients. I'm just finding my butter is a little bit too hard to do with the fork. It was hurting my wrist. Once the butter is about pea-sized, go ahead and add your hot water. And now use a fork to stir it up. And now you're left with a cobbler topping that looks a little like this. Set this aside for the assembly part. I just pulled our cheesecake out of the oven after its first bake. So as you know, it was baking at 425 degrees. Now you want to reduce your oven temperature to 350 degrees Fahrenheit before we do the next bake. Okay, so we've got our cheesecake. The top is set. And we just want to spoon a thin layer of the peach sauce on top. Perfect. So we've got a nice thin layer of the peaches on top. And now you're just going to gently either spoon or gently pour the remaining cheesecake mixture over top. I like to pour it on the back of a spatula or on the back of a spoon to really slow it down and break up that speed, if you might, of the cheesecake mixture that's going on top. Make sure it's smooth on top and covers all the peaches. You're now going to put the cheesecake back in the oven, again at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, for about 45 minutes, or until it's mostly set and just the center is a little bit jiggly. Our cheesecake is out of the oven again, so now we just want to scoop another bit of the peaches on top. Again, just a thin layer. Reserve a little bit of this peach mixture to top your cheesecake before serving. So let's just get some of this in there. Maybe a little more. Okay. I'm just going to spread this out. Now, dollop your cobbler topping in clumps on top until you've used all of it up. Return the cheesecake to the oven for about an additional 25 minutes until the cobbler topping is golden brown. Once the cobbler topping on your cheesecake is nicely golden brown, after about 25 minutes, just turn off the heat to the oven, prop your door open. If it doesn't stay open by itself, just jam a wooden spoon in there and it'll keep it open. And just keep it in the oven for an additional hour. After that time is done, remove the cheesecake from a water bath and put it in your fridge to chill, preferably for about 6 hours if you're not able to do it overnight. It is best when you do it overnight though, so be sure to give it as much time as possible. Hello and welcome back. For you it's been a couple of seconds, but for me it has been overnight. This cheesecake has been chilling in the fridge for the whole night, so it's well chilled and set up and ready for us to enjoy. So to get your cake out of the pan, you may want to run just a butter knife around the outside edge of the pan. My pan is really non-stick, so I'm not concerned about this. So I'm just going to release the spring, and there she goes. Okay, I'm just going to take it off the bottom tray, the baking pan, and put it straight onto a cake platter. So, just using a large heavy knife, I'm just going to pop in there. There we go. And I used parchment paper as well, so I need to be able to get that off. This cake should be pretty firm, so feel free, if it's firm enough, to flip it over and peel it off. Otherwise, just hold it up and peel off the paper. But look at that beautiful crust. Okay, flip it back over. Onto our cake pan it goes. Okay. Now, we have some leftover peaches from yesterday, from the filling. So we just want to scoop those on top and spread them out. Really, for what they are, they're simply a decoration, but they do add a little hint of sweetness to the top. This doesn't have to be spread out precisely, but it makes it look a little prettier than just with the crumb topping, or the cobbler topping. Alrighty. Beautiful. We are ready to cut and serve this. To cut the cheesecake, grab your knife and wet it with a paper towel or just under a tap. Getting this wet helps the cheese not stick to it as much. And just get on in there. Be slow and careful with this, as you can break the cake apart. With every slice, just like you would a normal cake, wipe down your knife. Slowly and gently. Make sure you get all the way through that bottom crust. First slice. Look at that. It is beautiful. Okay, let's get that on a plate. Look at those stunning layers. We've got obviously the crust, but the 2 layers of cheesecake with the peaches in between, the peaches on top with the cobbler topping, and the peach topping really right on top, the decoration. This is absolutely glorious, and it is well worth all the effort. Yes, it does take a lot to prepare, and there are multiple baking steps, but it's so worth it. It has been a pleasure cooking with you today. Let me know in the comments below if you have any questions or need any assistance getting this recipe to work for you. If you've enjoyed this recipe, give it a thumbs up and consider hitting the bell or subscribe in order to get notifications of future videos. I hope that you enjoy this cheesecake as much as we do in our house. Peter, my spouse, is an absolute lover of not only peaches, but cheesecake and cobblers and crisps and all those lovely things. So this is an absolute delight that he loves. So I really hope it works out for you. Send me some pictures if you get to try it. I would really love to see what you've done with it. And if you feel free to, give it a try with other fruit as well. Apples are in season right now. It is fall here in Niagara. Give it a try with different combinations and see what works for you. Have a wonderful day, and I will see you again next time. Bye.